I run to clear my head, to outrun the noise, the pressure, the expectations that never slow down. But somewhere along the way I realized you can keep moving and still be falling apart inside. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is stop, breathe, and let him restore you from the inside out. So, let's stop pretending we're fine and let God do what only He can do.
Have you ever picked your phone up to check a message? Just like that, right? And you look at it, and like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes later, you're like, what did I do? You ever do that? And, you know, in that interim, I've watched dog videos. Some of you are like, yeah, I get a lot of dog videos. Cat videos, workout hacks, life hacks. And it just happens so fast. So if that's happened to you, you're in the right place this morning. I'm going to be talking about the algorithm. And sometimes we hear, oh my, the algorithm. It's kind of a crazy thing, but I'm going to talk about the algorithm and you and how that relates to your soul. So back to the video that you watched, you're not alone. Research says that the average adult spends about 4 hours a day on their phone. And about 40% of adults say that they're constantly online. Now, I'm not going to stand here and tell you what you're doing wrong. That's really not how I work. My goal is to show you that we're actually living in a world of intentional distraction away from God. You see, we're drowning in this sea of, if you would, like curated noise. And it's not just costing us time, because if you do that math at 4 hours a day, if you're getting $20 an hour, you've lost $80, right? It's not just about the time. It's costing us something way deeper than that. It's costing us our attention, our affections, and even our souls at times. If you have your Bibles, we're going to be in Colossians chapter 3 this morning. Colossians 3 verse 1 reads like this: "Since you have been raised to new life with Christ, set your sights on the realities of heaven. Think about the things of heaven, not the things of earth." Paul isn't just giving us advice here. He's laying out a complete rewiring of the mind. He's saying, you've been raised up with Christ, so you need to lift your thinking up. You don't live down here. May I even say, you don't live in here. We don't live in here. So stop letting this or the world around us define us. But that's exactly what the world is trying to do. You see, the culture has its own way of shaping what we focus on, what we feel, and what we desire. It's not so much like stone idols, like sometimes we think that was going to happen. That's not what it is. Or political slogan. It's something much quieter than that. And it's way, way more personal than that. It's actually your feed on your phone. You see, what your phone pushes your way, we call that your feed. Let's talk about that for just a second. You know that For You page that you've seen? You know, oh, I picked these out just for you. Well, that's so nice of you. I'll click on them and spend 2 hours on it. Thank you so much for giving me that thing in my life. It's not just delivering content, though. I want you to just think about this. It's not just giving you something for free. It's actually studying you, totally studying you. It knows where you tap. It tracks where you pause. It tracks what you share. It senses what makes you laugh, what makes you angry, or what tempts you. So they don't just show you this content. They actually are studying your behavior. Specifically, when you dig down, it gets a little deeper than that. Taps and clicks, what you engage with and directly spend time on. They track that. They track how fast you scroll and where you stop, Do you ever rewind on your scroll? Well, you know where you're like, and then, come back down. They track that too. If you pause on a video or image for 2.3 seconds, that's recorded. Not 2.1, 2.3. Because 2.3, you get more dopamine. And you like dopamine, so you're going to go back. Reactions, of course, what you like, what you share, all that stuff is good. What you rewatch and what you reshare. Time of day. Have you ever noticed that there's more stuff at certain times of the day? You're just more vulnerable to clicking and to buying. And then, of course, there's this use of emotional, sticky content. You know, things that trigger you to be angry, that make you a little bit upset, that make you laugh, make you sad, keep you shocked. But all of that is made just to keep you on just a little bit longer. There's even a rhythm that shows you stuff you like, you don't like, so you're like, I want to end on a good note because your brain wants more dopamine, so you'll keep going until you find something that you like. You see, the more you engage with that, the smarter your phone gets. It creates this world that is shaped just for you. It keeps you very distracted, virtually. But what about what it's doing in reality? You see, what happens is we actually detach. And some of you right now, your reaction is, there's no way. That can't be true. They would never do that to me. Well, sorry. Some of you are like, of course. Of course I know that. And some of you are like, why are we talking about this at church? This is news to some of you, and it's bigger news than I thought. Throw up that slide, guys, with the percentages. So this was our Facebook poll this week. When you scroll through your phone, do you feel more like you are the one choosing what you see? 43% of our followers at Life in Christ Fellowship think that they're actually choosing what you see. I'm sorry, guys, you're just wrong. So if you were in that 43%, you're probably not right. Number 2, you are the one being influenced by what you see. That's probably the most accurate answer, and if we're looking for a correct answer, that's it. And then 3 of you are like, I'm not sure. It just happens before I think about it. I picked that phone up and it's like, I don't know, it just happened. I don't know what happened. It just happened. And I can understand that because it goes kind of fast, doesn't it? And it's not showing you stuff that you don't really like, but it's showing you stuff that probably is not good for your soul. You see, technology initially was used to give us information. We'd agree with that. I think if we said, the printing press was used to get information out, to connect people, right? And then we had radio, same thing. You listen to the radio, you get something. TV, same thing, except for now, you have that For You section again, just saying. And then we went to these, and they were really cool because you could pull information out of it. You could connect, but all of a sudden, what we thought was truly like a window, because that's what the radio, that's what TVs were, windows looking into the bigger world. This isn't so much a window anymore, it's a mirror. Shows you what you want to see. It's a mirror, and it's also a magnet that's pulling you in. You see, you think you're just consuming content, but actually, maybe you've noticed this, the content is consuming us, guys. It truly is. Think about how it leaves you. Do you ever get off your phone and you're like, I feel like I want to run a marathon right now. I feel amazing. I feel so good about myself. This was my 50-year birthday in December, and now all of a sudden the ads that I see, they just changed. I see ads for Tai Chi, but it's guys that are supposed to be 50 that look like Patrick Swayze back in the day. And they're like, you could do this if you just subscribe to us. Or there's all these other medical things that I guess I'm supposed to have because I'm 50, right? But we usually leave the phone tired, we leave it numb, or maybe we leave it jealous. Have you ever left the phone jealous? I joined this group it was 67, 68 Firebird, a group just for that, right? And because I like that car, I have one of them, and I thought it was nice. The cars that are on there, they ate my soul. They were perfection. I finally left the group because I'm like, I'm just getting upset, and I just have to leave it. But sometimes I'm restless when I leave my phone down too, right? So let's look at this. We know it's a distraction, but the thing is that we're not just being distracted by our phones, we're actually being discipled by our phones and our technology. I'm not saying that you're weak. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that in the world that we live in, you're actually being targeted beyond what we realize. You see, your distraction on your phone is someone else's business model. The longer you scroll, the more money they make. It's just the way it is. So if we name it what it really is, it's an economy of distraction. And I don't know that we're any more distracted than we were years ago, but we're more trained to focus on shorter, quicker, and more often doses of distraction because that gives us the dopamine hits faster. Our brains are pretty good at wiring and finding dopamine, and these phones and the technology is really good at giving it to us. So it's not just about what we see, it's about what we become, because the danger is what you want, what you watch eventually shapes you. It just does. Paul gets pretty clear on this. And this truth that I'm going to read here could be one of those keys to unlocking some peace in your life. In Colossians 3:5, it reads like this. He says, "Put to death the sinful earthly things lurking within you." If you want to change your life, you have to change what you focus on. And it's not just discipline, it's just changing our direction sometimes. I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and these questions may sting a little bit. What are your rituals? Scrolling TikTok before bed? That's a ritual. Checking Instagram during lunch? Ritual. Netflix and Cheetos? Cheetos. Ritual. Doom scrolling to avoid your thoughts? Still a ritual. You see, your rituals, they reveal your real desires. And your desires shape your habits, and your habits shape your life. So do you see how that adds up? So here's the action step. The next time you pick your phone up, because I've noticed I just pick this thing up just to pick it up. When do I reach for my phone? When do I do that? Is there certain times that I do that? Or why do I do that? Why do I pick it up? I have notifications on, so why do I pick it up? Just to see if I missed a notification? Or what am I hoping to find? Those are questions that may help you. But if we look at that algorithm, it's just not a neutral thing. It is meant to capture your attention, to shape your emotions, to pull you into sometimes even rage. Have you ever got off your phone and just been like a rage monster? I've seen that happen. I have patients that come in and they're like, "Oh, my day's terrible." I'm like, "Why?" "Well, I was on my phone." I'm like, "Okay. I'm just saying we could fix that." It reinforces the desires that you have, though. It creates an identity, too, because it shows you what you want. It creates this echo chamber. Like I said, they monitor the tap speed, scroll time, all of that, and they amplify what keeps you engaged. And unfortunately, it's made to suppress what makes you think deeply. So you're not just scrolling content, you're being shaped by it, and so am I. But if we zoom out, so we've been in this tech world, but I want to zoom out to the church of Colossae, okay? This is a New Testament church, and they had some issues as well. Their big issue is that they were kind of collapsing. But do you know why they were collapsing? They were confused. They were confused because there were so many rules. There was the legalism, there was religion, and there was performance, and then there was Rome, which was indulgence, identity, cultural pressure. Does any of that sound familiar to you? It sounds so familiar to me. I'm like, this is where we're at. It's this tug of war between the temple and the empire. Now, Paul could have gone either way, and we wrote this. He could have said, okay, we're going to tighten up the law, or we're going to ease into culture a little bit. He didn't say that. He wrote this. He said, put on your new nature. and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. Not just behave, but actually be renewed. See, he's telling them to grow in their faith, and that's what I want to tell you today. To take care of your soul, we need to grow in our faith instead of looking to empty deception. This is empty deception. You see, we've traded the temple in Rome for rules and for Rome in America. Some people try to curate a digital legalism where everything is like this perfect content. I have to be perfect online, a perfect brand, a perfect self, and then others, we just numb out. It's a cheap drug. Passive scrolling, we get shallow dopamine hits, we get that quiet spiritual drift. I even will look up a scripture on here and get lost looking up a scripture on my phone. So I've made the habit of, okay, I'm going to use a paper Bible because it doesn't distract me. Because there's always something to distract me. But Paul's voice still cuts through if we listen to him. He's saying, don't run to legalism, but also don't cave to the algorithm. Put on Christ not as a detox, but as discipleship. He says that you've already been raised up. Since you've been raised with Christ, this isn't a maybe, this isn't a, oh, you're almost there. This is a you've been raised up. The 6 of you that were baptized today, I know that your faith is secure. I talk to each and every one of you. You have been raised up. Your life is hidden with Christ in God. You are seated with Him, and you're not working for new life. You already have it. So why don't you act like it sometimes? Why don't we act like it sometimes? Because our minds are not on things above. Our minds are on these. Our minds are in the world. They're on earthly things. So what he says this is, hey, you got to take off the old self. You've got to get rid of that old self. So he uses this metaphor with clothes. He's like, take them off. Now, what he talks about is lust, greed, anger, slander, filthy language. Why? Because you're focused on earth, you will live like the world. Remember that. If you are focused on earth, you will live like the world. But when heaven is your lens, old things lose power. And we have to let the algorithm's power be released because it pulls us like a magnet to earthly things. So he says, take off the old clothes, put on the new. When you put on the new, he says, you need to wear compassion. You need to wear kindness, humility, patience, forgiveness, and love. And we thought, oh, that sounds so hard. But it's not about performance. It's about transformation. It's about being renewed. He says, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. I love that scripture. Rule means to referee. Maybe we should let Christ make the call on our reactions, on our scrolls, and on our clicks, on our emotions and our identity. And whatever you do for Him, do it for Jesus. We're not doing it for likes. We're not doing it for clout, but we're doing it for Him. You see, we've solved this scarcity of resources in our world that we live in, but we've created a scarcity of peace. It happened. It was almost like a flip. We have more of everything. We have more data. We have more devices. We have more power. We have more platforms. But you know what we don't have? Peace. We don't have the peace that we need. We are so overfed and yet underfilled. We're drowning in information, but we're starving for meaning. Back to Colossians 3:10. Put on your new nature and be renewed as you learn to know your Creator and become like Him. Again, it's not behavior management. That's not what we preach here. That's not what we talk about. We talk about being transformed. Steve Cuss said this as author. He said, the miracle of salvation isn't that Jesus stops us from sinning. It's that He changes what we want. I thought that was so good. You see, so often we're chasing peace in the scroll and what we're looking for. But Jesus said, what does He say? He says, peace is in me. Colossians 3:12, clothe yourself with mercy, kindness, humility, and let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts. You see, Jesus wants this for you. He wants love. He wants peace. He wants connection. He wants a soul that thrives. It's all there, but it starts and it depends on your focus. Like I said before, the algorithm, it works like a magnetic field pulling you in. And you think you're choosing, I think that I'm choosing, But the truth is that I'm really not in control. I'm being pulled in. And it starts with that idea of attention, because attention, where I put my attention is where my desires will be created. And my desires will shape my behavior. And then my behavior forms my identity. So can you see how the scroll ends up to being who you are by where you spend your time? So the question is this, so what are you feeding your soul? Because the algorithm has an appetite. It just does. And it's not just shaping your time as much as I think it's probably shaping us in ways that we don't understand. So this week, when you pick your phone up, ask yourself questions like this. When do I look at this? Why am I looking at this? And then this one hits hard. What is it doing to my soul? Is it a zero where it's a neutral, or is it a negative, or is it truly a positive? Now, if you're a believer and you love Jesus, you could still feel the fatigue of this. You are not overly spiritual or super spiritual where this will not impact your life. This distraction, this drift is a real thing. This is your reminder, though. You were never meant to carry the weight of the world in your pocket. Isn't that what happens? All of a sudden, I feel like I get, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with this person I don't even know their name. Heaven forbid if I click on comments, because then I'm in a rabbit hole and there's people arguing about everything in the world, and then I feel like, oh, they shouldn't be arguing about this. It means nothing to me, though. But I could be distracted. So for the believer, fix your eyes on Jesus. Reset your soul. Let Christ be your focus. Let him be your formation. Now, if you're here and you're a skeptic, you're not sure if this Jesus thing is for you. You're just not sure. You're like, I don't know about you guys. You're not sure what you believe. And honestly, religion may be part of the problem where you're like, yeah, that religion stuff, that didn't work for me. I'm not talking about religion. But I want to ask you this question. If the algorithm isn't giving you peace, where else are you going to find it? Could it be that Jesus isn't so much trying to control you, but actually trying to free you? And then if you're someone who left church and you came back and you're retesting the waters because you're like, I need more of something in my life because what I'm doing is not working. My guess is that you didn't mean to just drift away, but you started scrolling, you started doing other things, and you ended up far from home. The good news is that you can come back. You can come back right now. There's no shame, no algorithm to impress, just a Father ready for you to run toward you. So wherever you find yourself, if you're a believer, if you're a skeptic, if you're a prodigal, the invitation is the same for you today. Starve the algorithm. Put on Christ and let your soul breathe freely.
I run to clear my head, to outrun the noise, the pressure, the expectations that never slow down. But somewhere along the way I realized you can keep moving and still be falling apart inside. Sometimes the most faithful thing you can do is stop, breathe, and let him restore you from the inside out. So, let's stop pretending we're fine and let God do what only he can do.